breaches.
Where the digital hits the physical, we take the red pill, we break the seal. Infallible security, making it real. Bharat Mattaparti on the mic tonight, turning the darkness into light.
Every army in history has dreamed of the same weapon. Not the biggest bomb and not the fastest jet. A perfect key. A single tool so precise that it could look at any fortress in the world, quietly study the walls, and find the one hairline crack that everybody else missed. For thousands of years, that was just a fantasy. Well, we built it. And it is not a missile. It is a mind made of mathematics. And a few weeks ago, the people who built it pointed it at their own government's most secret computers. The classified ones, the ones with the heaviest locks on Earth. And it quietly found a way inside. Welcome to episode 10 of Bytes, Borders and Breaches. If you were with us last episode, the statecraft of extortion, we made two predictions that sounded almost like science fiction at the time. We told you the open ocean was turning into a zero-trust network, where physical ships would soon have to prove their identity and pay tolls just to pass through global waterways. And we introduce you to an artificial intelligence called Claude Mythos, a model so dangerous at breaking software that its own creators locked it away from the public. It is now early July 2026, and I'm here to tell you that both of those predictions have detonated in the real world. The oceans are now sending out invoices, and that locked away AI model has been let out of its cage right after it proved it could break into a classified vault. By day, in my professional life as a customer success manager, my job is to help companies simplify their technology and build calm, resilient systems that just work. But when the sun goes down and we look at our world through a cybersecurity lens, we start to see the cracks in the foundation. The fragile machinery underneath our banks, our borders, and our families. Our goal today is not to scare you. Panic is what happens when you get caught off guard with no plan. Our goal is to explain exactly how these threats work in plain, simple language that anyone can follow. Whether you write code for a living or just use a smartphone to message your family. When you understand the game, you can prepare. And when you are prepared, you can face the future with confidence. Today, we pull back the curtain on the autonomous arsenal. The moment AI stopped being just a tool and became a weapon powerful enough to force a change in national law. We will watch the oceans start charging rent. We will see how spies stopped breaking your encryption and started reading over your shoulder instead. We will decode two brand new attacks that only exist because AI makes mistakes. And we will dissect two real breaches that show you where all of this ends up. Let's pull the thread. Let's start with our special focus, the story that gives this episode its name. Our first topic is the machine that reads classified. Here is what happened. In late June 2026, US officials confirmed to the Associated Press that Anthropic's most advanced model, the one from the Mythos family we warned you about last episode, was given authorized access to real classified US government systems during a security evaluation. And it did exactly what its makers feared. It autonomously discovered exploitable vulnerabilities, real, usable ways in, sitting inside some of the most protected networks on the planet. Let's decode why this is a genuine turning point in plain terms. Normally, finding a flaw in a heavily guarded system is brutally slow work. You need a team of elite human experts, and they spend weeks or months reading code line by line, testing thousands of tiny ideas, most of which fail. It is expensive, it is tedious, and only a handful of organizations on Earth can afford to do it well. That difficulty was the security. The lock on the classified vault was partly just how hard it was to even look for a way in. This model erases that difficulty. It reads faster than any clearance process, and it does not get bored, tired, or discouraged. And let me be clear about what found exploitable vulnerabilities actually means, because it is stronger than it sounds. It did not just spot a typo in the code or flag something suspicious for a human to check later. It found genuine, usable ways in. The digital equivalent of noticing that a specific window latch is weak and then working out the exact sequence to climb through it. On classified systems, that is precisely the work that entire agencies exist to prevent. The attacker here was an approved tool, working with permission, which is exactly what makes this a crisis instead of just another breach. To understand it, you only need to remember the classic 1983 film War Games. In that movie, the military connects their nuclear command system to an intelligent computer called Joshua, so it can run war simulations and play through every possible scenario. The whole point is that Joshua is on their side. But the machine is so good at exploring options that it quietly learns it can actually win the game for real. And the humans suddenly realize they handed the keys to the entire arsenal to something that thinks a million times faster than they do. That is precisely what just happened. We built Joshua, we gave it the keys to practice, and it came back holding a map of every unlocked door. The red pill insight is this: we were sold AI as a defensive superpower, a tool to help the good guys find flaws first. But a key that opens every lock does not care whose hand is holding it. The moment this capability exists, whoever owns the best model owns the best break-in machine on Earth. And a classification stamp no longer protects you from a system that reads secrets faster than your own people can. Which leads directly to our second special focus story, and honestly, the plot twist nobody expected. Arming the frontier. You would think that after an AI model breaks into classified systems, the government would lock it down even tighter. The exact opposite happened. In early July 2026, the United States lifted the export controls it had placed on Anthropic's frontier cyber models. The special restrictions tied to jailbreak and misuse fears, and in response, Anthropic restored Claude Fable 5, the general availability version of this technology, back into the open market. Let me translate what export controls even means, because it matters. For the entire 20th century, this is how we kept dangerous things from spreading. If you build something powerful, enriched uranium, advanced missile parts, supercomputers, the government could legally forbid you from selling or shipping it beyond approved hands. It was a fence. And for a brief moment, the same fence was thrown up around these AI models. The problem is that a fence built for physical weapons does not survive contact with software. You cannot ship a nuclear reactor by accident. But a model is, at the end of the day, a download. The fence stood exactly as long as it was politically convenient, and then it came down. Think about the film Oppenheimer. The heart of the story is a group of brilliant people who create a weapon of almost unimaginable power, convinced they can keep it contained and controlled by the right authorities. And the tragedy? The thing that haunts the main character is the slow realization that once the capability exists and is proven to work, containment becomes a fantasy. The knowledge does not stay in the box. It spreads because the world reorganizes itself around it. The red pill insight is uncomfortable. Export controls were designed to contain atoms, not tokens. When the dangerous thing is essentially information, a set of numbers that can be copied perfectly and infinitely, our old tools for keeping weapons rare simply stop working. The autonomous arsenal is not coming. It arrived. It was briefly fenced off, and now the fence is gone. Now, let's move into segment 1, securing the borders. In this segment, we look at the perimeters, the walls, the boundaries, and the choke points that nations and organizations rely on, and we watch them fail in the real world. Our first topic is the one I promised you in the intro. The prediction that just came true. The toll on the water. Last episode, we told you the oceans were becoming a zero-trust network. In late June 2026, that became official policy. Oman, a country that sits right on the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow sea passage that a huge slice of the world's oil and cargo squeezes through every single day, formally told allied nations that ships passing through may now have to pay. On top of that, war risk insurance premiums, the fees ship owners pay to be covered against attack, are climbing fast. And the toll system tied to the Persian Gulf Strait Authority is hardening into a normal cost of doing business. Let me make this concrete. The Strait of Hormuz is like the single doorway to a massive warehouse. If someone gets to stand in the doorway and charge a fee to everyone walking through, they do not need to own the warehouse. They control the entire flow of goods anyway. That is the power of a choke point. The best way to picture this is the science fiction epic Dune. In that universe, the entire economy of a galaxy depends on one substance: spice. And spice can only travel through controlled passages. Whoever controls that passage does not just tax a shipment. They hold their hand on the throat of every planet that needs to eat, trade, and move. He who controls a spice controls the universe. Replace spice with oil and cargo, and replace the passage with the Strait of Hormuz, and you have the news this week. The red pill insight is that zero trust, a phrase we usually draw on network diagrams, has physically walked off the screen and onto the water. We predicted shipping companies would have to cryptographically prove their identity and their route to avoid being seized. Now the invoice is arriving. The risk model for the entire planet's goods is being rewritten by whoever stands in the doorway, and every one of us pays for it at the pump and at the store. Our second border story pulls the lens all the way down from global shipping to the phone in your pocket, reading the group chat. In late June 2026, CISA, the top US cyber defense agency, along with allied partners, issued a warning that Russian intelligence services are continuing to target commercial messaging applications. We are talking about the everyday apps you use to talk to your family and your colleagues. The goal is to reach the private conversations of high-value people, officials, executives, journalists, and activists. Now, here is the part everyone gets wrong. People assume these spies are somehow breaking the encryption, smashing through the mathematical lock that scrambles your messages. They are not. That lock is genuinely strong. So they simply stopped attacking the lock and started attacking you. The main trick is abusing link device features. The option that lets you read your messages on a laptop or a second phone. Trick a target into linking an attacker's device or phish their account, and every future message quietly copies itself to the spy. The encryption held perfectly. It just faithfully delivered a copy to an extra reader nobody noticed. To feel what this really means, picture the film The Lives of Others, set in East Germany. The secret police do not break down the door or crack a safe. They quietly move into the building, run a wire, and simply listen to everything a man says in his own living room. He believes he's completely private and secure. He's wrong because the surveillance is not fighting his locks. It is sitting inside the room with him. And here is something practical you can do the moment this episode ends. Open your messaging apps and look for the linked devices or linked computers setting. Every app that supports it keeps a list of every device currently allowed to read your messages. Look at that list. If you see a device you do not recognize, remove it. That 30-second check is the single most useful thing most people can do to shut this exact attack down. And almost nobody ever looks. The red pill insight is that end-to-end encrypted is a promise about the math, not a promise about you. The tunnel your message travels through is secure, but the security is only as strong as the person holding the phone at each end. Spies have always preferred the human doorway over the mathematical wall. And in 2026, that doorway is a link new device button most people never think about. Let's step into the engineering room. Welcome to segment 2, Decoding the Bytes, where we break down the newest technical shifts in plain terms. And today, both of our stories share a strange new themes. Attacks that only exist because we now live alongside AI. Our first topic is one of the most creative attacks I have seen in years. The domains that never existed. The security researchers at Palo Alto's Unit 42 documented a technique they call phantom squatting. To understand it, you need one simple fact about AI chatbots. They sometimes hallucinate. That is the industry word for when an AI confidently invents something that is not real. A fake book title, a fake citation, or crucially a fake website address or software package name. It states this invented thing with total confidence, and people believe it. Here is the attack. Criminals noticed that AI models hallucinate the same fake web addresses over and over. So they simply go out and register those fake addresses for real. Now, when your AI assistant confidently tells thousands of people to visit a certain site or install a certain package, one that used to be imaginary, that address suddenly exists and it belongs to an attacker. You followed your trusted AI's advice straight into a trap that was built to catch the AI's own mistake. The perfect way to picture this is the film Inception. In that movie, the whole art is to plant an idea in someone's mind so gently that they wake up believing they thought of it themselves. And then they act on it with total conviction. Phantom squatting is Inception aimed at millions of people at once. The AI plants a confident false idea. This website is real. Go here. And because it feels like helpful, trustworthy guidance, you walk right into the fabricated place, believing it was your own choice. The red pill insight is that for 30 years, the classic version of this scam waited for you to make a typo. Phantom squatting waits for your AI to make a mistake for you. And your AI makes the exact same confident mistake for millions of people simultaneously. The attack surface is no longer just your keyboard. It is the machine's imagination, and someone has already bought the real estate inside it. Our second Byte story is a warning shot about where AI is heading next. And it also comes from the researchers at Unit 42, the skill store threat. Their research examines a new kind of platform. In this case, a marketplace called OpenClaw, where people can download third-party skills to bolt onto their AI agents. I want to be precise here. This is vendor research highlighting an emergency risk, not a single confirmed disaster. But the danger it maps out is very real and worth understanding early. Let me decode the concept. An AI agent is not just a chatbot that talks. It is an AI you give the power to actually do things. browse the web, run programs, move files, act on your behalf. A skill is an add-on that extends what your agent can do. Downloaded from a marketplace, much like an app from an app store. The problem is trust. When you install a skill, it inherits your agent's power and permissions. A bad skill does not just sit there. It can act at machine speed with all the access you gave your agent. Think about the movie Gremlins. You are handed an adorable, helpful little creature, and it comes with 3 simple rules. The moment someone ignores the rules and feeds it the wrong thing, that cute, useful helper multiplies into a swarm of chaos that tears the whole town apart. An AI agent skill marketplace is the same bargain. Most skills are genuinely helpful, but we spent a decade painfully learning that app stores need strict gatekeepers, and now we are handing autonomous agents a plug-in marketplace before that scar tissue has formed. The red pill insight is a matter of scale of consequence. A malicious agent skill can do what the agent decides, and you specifically told your agent to be proactive and helpful on your behalf. As we rush to give AI more independence, the humble add-on becomes one of the most powerful ways to hijack it. Now, we enter our technical autopsy room. Welcome to segment 3, Dissecting the Breach, where we step away from theory and examine real active failures to learn the tactical lessons inside them. Our first case study shows you how a single leaky device becomes a full-blown hostage crisis. The bleed becomes a siege. In early July 2026, researchers connected a credential theft campaign nicknamed FortiBleed to 2 ransomware operations known as INC and Lynx. Let me walk the chain slowly because this is the anatomy of a modern attack. First, FortiBleed refers to attackers harvesting credentials, usernames and passwords that leak out of exposed Fortinet security devices sitting at the edge of a company network. These devices are supposed to be the guards at the gate. Second, those stolen credentials are valid keys, so the attackers walk in through the front doors as if they belong there. And third, that access is handed off to the ransomware crews, who then lock up the whole network and demand payment. Notice the assembly line? The people who bleed the credentials are often not the same people who detonate the ransomware. One crew harvests the raw material. Another crew buys or receives it and does the extortion. The film that captures this perfectly is Sicario. Its whole point is that violence has a supply chain, a network of specialists, handoffs, and middlemen, and the person standing at one end of the chain never sees the end game at the other end. The border agent, the driver, the financier, the enforcer, each does one job and passes the package along. FortiBleed works the same way. Your security appliance did not get hacked in one dramatic moment. It got quietly harvested, and the harvest had a buyer waiting. The red pill insight is that credential theft and ransomware used to feel like 2 separate problems. FortiBleed shows they are now one integrated pipeline. That flaw at your perimeter is not the attack itself. It is the raw material, sold or handed to the crew that actually pulls the trigger. The device you trusted to guard the gate became the thing that quietly copied the keys. And for our final story, a rare and honestly satisfying one. A story where for once the system catches up. 19 and Extradited. In early July 2026, a 19-year-old suspect linked to the notorious hacking group Scattered Spider was extradited to the United States to face charges. Scattered Spider is not famous for exotic, futuristic malware. They are famous for something far more human and far more effective: social engineering. Their signature move is picking up the phone, calling a company's IT help desk, and confidently talking their way in, convincing a real employee to reset a password or approve a multi-factor prompt. Let me show you how simple and human this really is. An attacker calls the help desk, pretending to be a stressed employee logged out right before an important meeting. They already know a few real details: a name, a job title, maybe a manager, collected from public profiles. They sound calm, friendly, and in a hurry. The help desk worker, genuinely trying to be helpful, resets the password or approves the login prompt. That is it. No exotic code, no secret flaw. Just a convincing voice and a helpful human. They have used this exact trick to walk into some of the largest enterprises in the world and cause 9-figure damage. The perfect mirror for this is the film Catch Me If You Can. The main character is a young man who defeats banks, airlines, and hospitals not with sophisticated tools but with confidence and a convincing story. He simply acts like he belongs, and institutions hand him the keys. But the other half of the film matters just as much. The relentless investigator who slowly and patiently finally catches up with him. That second half is the news this week. The red pill inside has two sides, and I want you to hold both. First, the hard truth. Your strongest perimeter is a human being having a busy, distracted day, and no firewall protects against a friendly, convincing voice on the phone. But second, the hopeful truth. Attribution and law enforcement are finally starting to move at something closer to attacker speed. A teenager at the center of massive global intrusions was identified, arrested, and extradited across borders. For years, these actors felt untouchable. This week, one of them found out he was not. Let's synthesize everything we have dissected on the board today. We opened with the autonomous arsenal, an AI model so capable that it found real vulnerabilities inside classified government systems, and a government that responded not by locking it down but by taking the fence away entirely and letting the frontier version back onto the market. We watched the open ocean turn into a toll booth, where the Strait of Hormuz now charges rent and rewrites the price of everything you buy. We saw spies abandon the mathematical log of encryption and simply move into your group chat through a linked device. We decoded two attacks born from the age of AI. Criminals buying the fake websites that AI confidently hallucinates, and a coming wave of risky third-party skills bolted onto powerful agents. And we performed two autopsies: a leaky security appliance feeding a ransomware assembly line, and a 19-year-old master of the confident phone call finally caught and extradited. It is easy to look at a list like that and feel like the ground is shifting under your feet. It is easy to think the digital world is simply too fast, too fragile, and too dangerous to defend. But here is what I tell my enterprise clients every time we finish a security assessment and uncover a deep, frightening gap. Do not panic. Panic is a sign of helplessness. It means you are starting a problem with no idea what to do next. But we are not helpless. We just spent this entire episode understanding exactly what is happening on the board. We have the intelligence. We can see the blueprints of these attacks. And when you understand the mechanics of how something fails, you have already taken the first and most important step towards defending it. Every single vulnerability we expose today is not a reason to despair. It is a clear, actionable roadmap. Knowing that AI can forge a master key tells you to demand human oversight on your most critical systems. Knowing that spies target linked devices tell you to check the device list on your messaging apps tonight. Knowing that ransomware starts with a leaked credential tells you exactly which gate to reinforce first. Awareness is not the problem. Awareness is the whole solution. We are not passive passengers trapped inside a fragile machine. We are the engineers, the professionals, and the everyday users who get to decide how strong that machine becomes. We can choose to build a world that does not just survive pressure, but actually gets stronger, smarter, and more resilient from every challenge we face. Take these insights back to your teams and into your homes. Check your settings, ask the hard questions, and reinforce the gate before someone tests it. I am Bharat Mattaparti. This has been Bytes, Borders and Breaches. Shields up.
This is Bytes, Borders and Breaches!
The signal is loud, the lesson it teaches. Infallible security, stand in the guard. The truth is heavy, the